participation of Barbados through the UPR process. I now propose that the Council adopts the decision on the outcome of the Universal Periodic Review of Barbados as it appears on the screen. I see no objection. The decision is adopted. We will briefly suspend the meeting before proceeding with the consideration of the outcomes of the United Arab Emirates. We will now consider the outcome of the United Arab Emirates. It is based on the report of the Working Group on the Universal Periodic Review of the United Arab Emirates and its addendum. These documents, together with the additional information that will now be provided by the United Arab Emirates, will constitute the outcome of the review. I now have the pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Ahmad Abdulrahman Ahmad Al-Jarman, the permanent representative of the United Arab Emirates. Excellency, you have the floor.
شكرا السيد نائب الرئيس. أود
Thank you, Vice President. At the outset, allow me to commend you on your presidency of the Human Rights Council, and we wish you every success in your work. My delegation and myself are honoured to participate in the Human Rights Council session to adopt the fourth report of the United Arab Emirates on its Universal Periodic Review. The UAE, on the 8th of May 2023, presented its fourth UPR report to the Council and participated in a fruitful and constructive dialogue on human rights. During this dialogue, we highlighted the efforts that have been undertaken over the past 4.5 years, as well as the development of legislative frameworks and the strengthening of national human rights mechanisms, as well as their development, and best practices to promote and protect human rights. The UAE also informed the Council of progress that has been achieved in the implementation of recommendations that they had accepted under the previous UPR cycle, and in this context I would like to express our gratitude for the observations, comments and constructive recommendations put forward by different states during the review. Vice President, the United Arab Emirates have repeatedly highlighted the importance of the role played by UPR mechanisms, which enable us to exchange experience and have awareness of best practices to promote and protect human rights. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Troika, represented by the Kingdom of Morocco, Belgium and Vietnam, as well as to the Secretariat for the effective and constructive role that they have played. I would also like to emphasize that the UAE continuously strive to promote and protect human rights and to contribute and interact positively with human rights mechanisms in this regard. And this comes from our values of justice, tolerance, and respect for others. Guaranteeing fundamental human rights and freedoms is a key element of the UAE values, and we are proud of the progress that we have achieved in this field. Vice President, during the fourth cycle of the UPR, the UAE received 323 recommendations, and consequently the Standing Human Rights Committee, which is a governmental body made up of different ministries, had studied these recommendations carefully and taking into account national legislation and international conventions to which we are a party. And I would like to inform this Council that the UAE accepted 198 of these recommendations, and we noted that a large number of these recommendations have already been implemented within our country, as we will note at a later stage. The UAE will implement these recommendations in the years to come. We have launched a national human rights plan which is designed to implement these recommendations. The UAE have taken note of 125 recommendations, and we believe that a large number of them require either more detailed study or the establishment of a legislative environment that is in line with international standards. Allow me now to address the recommendations that have been accepted by my country and which focus on a vast array of issues on legislation. We aim to develop our legal and institutional frameworks, as well as our national policies to protect human rights. And in this context, we are currently working to establish a national human rights plan, which will mainly focus on the implementation of accepted recommendations under the fourth cycle of the UPR. At an institutional level, the UAE will continue its efforts to strengthen technical cooperation with the National Human Rights Commission, which was established in line with the Paris Principles. We will strive to strengthen the development of the Standing Human Rights Committee, which is charged with follow-up And in this context, my country, we hope that we will benefit from technical assistance from UN mechanisms to support our work. The UAE constantly studies all international treaties and agreements, as well as their compatibility with national policies and legislation, so that we can contribute to the promotion, they can contribute to the promotion and protection of human rights. During the review of its fourth UPR report in May, we noted our intention to accede to the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child regarding the involvement of children in armed conflict. We're also studying the possibility of withdrawing some reservations on the Convention on the Rights of the Child and CEDAW. Vice President, we would like to strengthen cooperation with UN bodies and mechanisms so that we can contribute to our promotion and protection of human rights. We would like to benefit from the expertise of the OHCHR in the implementation of a certain number of specialized workshops and programs, including on capacity building, so that we can continue with our national recommendations. The UAE would also like to strengthen cooperation with the special procedures, and in this context, the state has invited the Special Rapporteur on the Right to Education, the Special Rapporteur on the rights of persons with disabilities to visit the country. And we also intend to invite other special rapporteurs and to respond to previous requests for visits that we have received. With regard to the protection and promotion of the rights of women and women's empowerment and gender equality, most of the recommendations have been supported by our country. And in this context, last August, the Council of Ministers, this policy will focus on developing a legislative and regulatory environment which will support and improve the quality of life of women, and will also enhance the institutional work and partnerships at a national and international level. With regard to issues linked to the rights of workers, all recommendations in this regard have been supported and accepted because the UAE attaches great importance to the protection of the rights of workers and to providing full coverage for all workers with a number of different programs that guarantee the protection of their rights and to ensure a decent life for them. Over the past few years, the UAE have undertaken a number of legislative and regulatory reforms and provided different services to workers to ensure the protection of their rights within the country. I would cite a federal law from 2021 concerning the regulation of labour relations, and in this context, we have also launched a number of initiatives which mainly are designed to protect the rights of workers. And the most important for this is the unemployment system that we have. Vice President, we have received a number of recommendations linked to combating human trafficking, and all have been accepted by my country, in particular with regard to enhancing and developing legislative frameworks and providing support to victims. I would like to mention that in July, the Council of Ministers adopted a certain number of significant amendments to the law combating human trafficking, in particular creating more severe punishments for those crimes and supporting victims, which will enable victims to return to their countries and in full safety. And now regarding access to justice and the protection of detainees in detention centres and promoting freedom of opinion and expression and religious freedom and the right to nationality. A lot of relevant recommendations have been supported by the state, so we have adopted significant legislation which improves access to justice, which is represented by the amendment to the amendments to civil laws, and we also have a federal law from 2022 on federal judicial authority, which will strengthen the independence of the judiciary. In terms of promoting religious freedom and tolerance and freedom of opinion and expression, we adopted in September a federal law number 9 of 2023 on placing worship for non-Muslims across the country, as well as in free areas. And this law aims to ensure coexistence and tolerance within our country. We are also currently to prepare a new draft law to replace Federal Law number 15 from 1980, and this will ensure regulation of the media, including digital media. And this, of course, is in line with relevant international standards. All recommendations linked to protection of the environment and food security and climate change have been accepted. The UAE will continue their national efforts designed to reduce emissions and to achieve climate neutrality by 2050, as well as strengthening international cooperation in the field of climate action. We are preparing to host in November of this year COP28. And our country hopes to cooperate with all countries of the world and all parties concerned so as to obtain balanced, ambitious and comprehensive results, and to work to achieve the pledges that have been made to deal with the issue of climate change. Vice President, the Standing Human Rights Committee, in cooperation with all national bodies and mechanisms, and in cooperation with the National Human Rights Commission and civil society organizations within our country, this country will follow up on the accepted recommendations. This standing committee will therefore begin to develop a national human rights plan, which will largely focus on the implementation of these recommendations, as well as on other recommendations received by the treaty bodies. And my country is will be delighted to inform you of the implementation of these recommendations. To conclude, the United Arab Emirates reaffirms the importance of the Universal Periodic Review and our will to strengthen cooperation with this mechanism and with different UN bodies. Thank you very much, Vice President.
Thank you. I now open the floor to member and observer states for their comments on the outcomes of the review. The speaking time is 1 minute and 30 seconds for all states. The first speaker is Nepal.
Mr. President,